Gabriel Mizael writes, "Hi guys, I love the show. Some people say that Christopher Nolan is becoming the new Stanley Kubrick. Do you agree with that? Thanks and keep up the good work."
I don't think so. I'm a fan of Christopher Nolan's, but I think he's kind of a ways off from Stanley Kubrick. There are similarities, I think, kind of in visual style and tone, but Kubrick, you know, he's one of the all-time greats, you know, and a lot of, I mean, we think of his classic movies like 2001, Clockwork Orange, Full Metal Jacket, but he also had different tones to him, like with Lolita, Spartacus, Dr. Strangelove, and we haven't seen that from Christopher Nolan yet. With Interstellar, there was a lot of references and kind of homages to 2001, but for me, that movie ended up being more Spielberg-like than Kubrick-like. So, I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean, I can see the comparison between 2001 and Interstellar. From a cinematic standpoint, I can see how Kubrick and Christopher Nolan are very similar, but thematically, I think Kubrick did so many different things I just haven't seen yet with Christopher Nolan yet. I'm not saying that that can't happen because Christopher Nolan is still one of the very few directors that would get me into a theater on name alone. It doesn't matter what the title of the movie is. If Christopher Nolan's doing it, I want to go see it opening night.
Christian?
They're completely different. They're completely different filmmakers, and I think Nolan will be recognized as Nolan and not as the next Kubrick, and because they have very different styles. And I think the reason that that conversation comes up is because of Interstellar and 2001, and because it was like an homage, and there were similarities for sure. But no, and I also think that Christopher Nolan goes more into can dive more into the blockbusters and get the commercial feels way more than Kubrick did, because that's the kind of filmmaker that Nolan is. Like you look at something like Inception, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. That was a summer blockbuster movie, but it was also very deep and very different from most blockbusters, which gave him his own style. But that wasn't something that Kubrick really did a lot of as well too. So I think their styles are significantly different. I don't see a lot of similarities. It's funny though when you look at, and you and I have been arguing about this often, I think David O. Russell is a guy that's starting to do a lot more, take a lot more from Scorsese than he's done lately. Like even with Joy, there's a lot of Scorsese-isms, and I don't know what he's doing lately. It's like everything he's doing is more like, I'm going to take that from Scorsese. I'm going to take that. And I don't think that Nolan does that. I think Nolan, I don't know. Nolan, I think, stands on his own away from Kubrick.
Yeah, Nolan makes a lot more Batman movies.
That's true.
Than Kubrick does.
Yeah, I think there's a conversation maybe 10, 15, 20 years from now. Maybe we can see what Nolan has done since then and what his impact is. I mean, obviously, he's influential on modern filmmakers today, but Kubrick is, like I said, all time. Like, everyone is influenced by his work.
Right, but I think it's a different conversation. I think there's a different conversation even in 10, 15 years if it's, does Nolan fit in with the Kubricks and Coppolas and people of that? That's a different conversation as far as like, is he the next Kubrick in regards to the same style and the same, and do you feel that like you're watching Kubrick movies when you're watching Nolan stuff? Do you get that sense of, oh, this reminds me? I agree with you, like that you can get bits, oh wait, but that reminds me of Spielberg, or that there's influence around it. As far as him being in the conversation with Kubrick, then let's see 10, 15 years. But as far as being the next Kubrick, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, and also, like I said, I want to see him do some other movies. I mean, Kubrick, you had Lolita, Dr. Strangelove, which were more like tongue-in-cheek, some satire, comedy. Nolan hasn't done any kind of comedy, and most of his movies have very little comedy in them.
He knows what he does.
Yeah,
he knows what he does, and that's not his strong point.
Hey guys, if you like this clip, click here to watch the entire episode. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel because it'll help you stay up to date with all the stuff we've got going on here at Collider.